who want to sell online, LinkedIn, social selling, all that good stuff. They want to sell, but fundamentally, they don't understand one missing piece of the puzzle. They think there's a tactic or a secret they're missing. But ultimately, all we're trying to do on LinkedIn is convince another human that we've got a solution for them. And I had a revelation many years ago about cold outreach. Cold outreach, just hitting up complete strangers. I used to dislike it because I didn't like doing it, basically. It felt icky. But it's a natural and something that has to be done if you're in sales. And if you don't have a big network, it's something that's kind of mandatory. You've got to kind of do it because you'll run out of money. But what is true is trying to convert people cold is a skill. Trying to convert people cold is something that is, if you're used to referrals, good luck with that. Like, that is the toughest type of conversion. You need very good sales skills to convert somebody cold. So, with that said, one of the big things that people miss about LinkedIn is how their profile does a lot of the heavy lifting. And no, most people don't get this. I look at their profiles and it tells me all about what they do. All about what they do. And I'll just say, doing what you do is pretty much irrelevant if you're trying to sell. Pretty much irrelevant. People buy for outcomes. And so your profile is the space that people check you out and stalk you and, do all of that stuff to look into who the hell's this person. And you can do two things with your profile. And most people miss this and then they wonder why it's hard. They wonder why it's difficult. Number one, your profile should instantly communicate the value of what you do. Notice where I put my emphasis there. The value of what you do, not what you do. At the end of the day, people buy your services, your products, not because of the product, but because of what the product does for them, the value of it. And so very often I'll look at people's profiles and it says, I do this and I do that and I do the other. Nobody cares. Nobody cares about what you do until they see the value of it. Why does that matter for me? People don't want to use LinkedIn to get clients because they like LinkedIn. They think it's an easier pathway than cold calling, and it is. It's an easier pathway than cold outreach, and it is. So your profile should not be like a description of what you do. It should not be descriptive. It should be speaking to the results, the benefits of working with you. So if you're a lawyer and you go, hey, I'm a lawyer, okay, that's nice to know, but why do I care? You actually need to tell me, how can you make my life better? Okay, if you don't do that, people will not join the dots and go, oh, you do this, maybe that can help me, because they're not going to do that work, especially in a short attention span zone like social media and LinkedIn. So number one, your profile needs to communicate the value of what you do, not just what you do. So from banner all the way through, you should be speaking to why this is valuable, why what I do and what you do is valuable to the people reading your profile. That is fundamental. That will get people interested. And what we're doing there is we're helping people see the value of what we offer before we talk to them. It's much easier to have a conversation with somebody who's already seen a bit about how you say you're valuable to them than you trying to do it on the call itself. you won't get many calls by just describing what you do either. So lead with the value of what you do across your profile, because people will visit your profile multiple times, over and over and over and over. So as they go over and over and over and over, something called the mere exposure effect kicks in. Your face becomes familiar, your name becomes familiar, and what you said about yourself starts to become sticky. They start to remember it. Do you really want to be remembered as I do this? Is that how you want your prospects to remember you? As I do this? Or do you want them to remember the value of what you do? It's really important. And the mere exposure effect, I talk a lot about this in my workshops. The mere exposure effect basically makes people trust you more. So the concept of that mere exposure effect, it was a Polish psychologist, Robert Zajonc, in the 70s coined the term mere exposure effect, was the more times people see you, see what you offer, hear your message, the more they trust it, the more they warm to it. And so they might warm to you as an individual. If you just say on your profile what you do, yeah, they warm to it. Great, wonderful. But they've warmed to what you do. I see you're a good person. I see you're great at what you do. But they still, if you just describe what you do, have no idea why it matters for them. So that's why you have to lead with it. The mere exposure effect basically is the multiple touch points will actually create more trust, more fondness, more openness to it. So that's number one. If you want your profile to do some of the heavy lifting in sales, you lead with the value. Lead with the value. Not just what you do, the value of what you do to the audience. That's number one. Number two, why do you need your profile to pre-sell for you? Because we operate in that low trust environment. We're operating in an environment where everybody, AI, scams, I've seen some terrible movies, right? Some horrifically bad movies. And you look at some of the reviews from the critics and they're incredible. And you go, that's bullshit, right? We're in this space where actually we now know there's a lot of bullshit, right? There's a lot of stuff that you can't believe anything you see anymore. Even if you watch a video, you can't even believe it anymore. And so people coming to your profile, looking over and over and over again, builds that picture of consistency. So salespeople watching me, right? If your profile picture on your LinkedIn and your emails are aligned, so that little tiny profile picture you can add to your emails when it lands in the inbox and they see the picture. If your profile picture and your LinkedIn profile are aligned and you've built up that familiarity on LinkedIn, you get better open rates on email. That's not some tech hack, that's human psychology. If your profile, they've seen your profile picture multiple times and seen your name multiple times, they're more likely to open your LinkedIn DM. So we're in this space of trust building is now more important. So things like, if I looked at your profile, could I find case studies and recommendations and testimonials? Would I find them? If I have to hunt for them, that's not going to work. People are not going to go and navigate. What we want to do is get people passively consuming stuff that builds that trust. So yes, our profile, our visibility and our content's good, and that can build up a level of trust. But the trust that you really want is social proof, which is trust that other people have had a great experience with you. That's why I commit to posting wow posts, but that's also why I have something like 120 recommendations on my profile. That's why I have some on my website. I have a feed, a home feed full of them. Yeah, but I don't rely on people going to my website to look for it. I assume this profile page is all they're going to look at. They're going to be a little bit nosy, twitchy, nosy neighbor, look at my profile. So I leave everything there I need them to know. Why does this all matter? If I go on a call with somebody, and I did this yesterday, somebody who's been connected to me for, 6 or 7 months, I think. I had a call with them yesterday, And they said to me, Dean, I always knew I was going to work with you. It was just a matter of timing. Now, I've only spoke to this person 2 or 3 times in chats and stuff like that. They weren't a prospect on my hit list kind of thing, but they'd seen me around enough times to build up the confidence. I left breadcrumbs of evidence and what I do and how I do it on my profile, so they got all the education they needed. So when they came to the call, it wasn't like, so what do you do and how does it work and all this kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, I want to fill 4 events. It was really easy to do. I'm not going to say the person's name, changed a few of the details, so I don't give it away too much. But that's the power of the profile. People are obsessed with the content, but actually, if you get the right people looking at your profile, you can do all the heavy lifting on your profile, all of it. And so when I look at people's profiles, they're not pre-selling profiles. They're not pre-selling themselves. They're a directory listing, describing what they do. And unfortunately, that sounds smart, but in an attention-strapped or short attention span world we live in now, we've got to make it easy for people to figure out the value. And if they have to dig for it and work to figure it out themselves, you've already lost them. So pre-selling profile is trust building. Pre-selling profile should be helping land the value. It should be educating people on what you offer them. It should be helping people build the confidence that you are good at what you do and you can get a result for them. Do not leave this to chance, because what you are in effect doing by not sorting this profile piece out, you start posting content, you start doing all the other stuff. By not sorting the profile out, you are still making it harder for yourself to convert those calls, because you're going to have to do all of that trust building in the call and after the call, which is exactly like cold calling. When you do a cold call, you have to get their attention, get them hooked, all those tactics that you do. I've not done cold calling for a long time, but you have to talk to a stranger, hook them onto a call. They still don't trust you. They still don't know much about you. And you've got to do all that heavy lifting to show them value, hook them, and get a follow-up. Yeah. If your profile is just describing what you do, sure, they might recognize the face, they might recognize the name, and that will have a little bit of star power maybe. But actually, they still don't know if you're any good at it. They still don't know what you do exactly. They still don't know how it works exactly. And they still don't know whether you can deliver a result for them. So all of that work still has to be done. So inadvertently, and this sounds silly because a lot of people think, oh, profile, it's just so insignificant. It's actually the asset that will make the sales bit easier, the selling bit easier. And a lot of people don't get that. A lot of people miss that, or they get obsessed with brand. Oh my God. I'm a bit of a Canva addict, so I love designing stuff and tinkering with my profile in Canva. But if you get obsessed with the branding and go, look how cool my profile looks, that doesn't work. Clarity, it's, you can have the shittiest looking profile, but if the value is pretty clear, I mean, literally you could have a white banner with, I will make you rich. And that would probably be better than saying wealth management. Yeah. So I'm being deliberately, you could have a typewriter font in the top. Sounds a good idea. So think about how your profile is going to do the heavy lifting. Every time you post, every time you connect, every time you message, every time you comment, every time you like, every little thing that you do on LinkedIn drives people to look at your profile. So my question to you this morning is, when all that stuff happens and people come and look at your profile, would they leave more confident that you know what you're doing? Would they leave more clear on the value of what you do for them? And And would they be able to figure out how it works? If they can't learn things about you, your offer, and your value there, basically you're making selling much, much harder. And on that note, I'm going to sign off. Hopefully this has been useful. If you like this stuff, if you've got any questions, I like doing the lives. I'm more comfortable doing the lives. For whatever reason, when I pre-record stuff, I turn quite rigid and weird. So I can just chat with you here like you're in the room. But then literally as soon as I try and pre-record it, 5 things, I don't know why I do it. So if you've got questions about LinkedIn, if you've got questions about social selling, maybe you've been trying to get leads and whatever you're doing isn't coming together, drop me a DM. Tell me what's going on. I'll send you some feedback. Have a good Friday.